My dear brothers and sisters, shall I begin the reflection with a little story? In the island of Elba, that is in Georgia, there is a port by name Savannah. And there stands majestically a statue by name the Waving Girl. There is a statue of a girl waving her kerchief towards the port, and at her foot there is also a dog. The story is as inscribed on a stone at the bottom of the statue is of the girl by name Florence Martus. Apparently, she was waving out to the sailors that passed by the port from 1887 to 1931, 44 years. Without fail, she never let any ship come to the port and depart without having waved out to the sailors. There is a little romantic story attached to this. It seems one of the porters, one of the salesmen who visited the port, fell in love with her and promised her to marry her on his next visit, but that never happened. So all the while, she had been waiting for the return of her beloved, and these years passed, yet he never returned. But then she never failed to wave out in expectation to the sailors that came to the port. This continued for 44 years until she died. What does this story teach us? And she had always a burning coal on her chest, as it were, an eager expectation. That expectation later turned to perhaps despair. Still, she kept waving out to the sailors. Perhaps that ember which was in her, that burning coal, helped her in some sense. That sustained her hope of living, of life. And as years passed by, many a sailor felt welcomed to the port, and they looked forward in expectation of seeing this girl waving out to them. She proved to be a sign of hope to the sailors. There was something to look forward to for the sailors who approached this port. She lived on that pain, and she transformed that pain into a means whereby she gives hope and welcome to someone else. Today we have the reading from the prophet Zechariah. Zechariah was a prophet apparently who was killed in front of the altar, as Jesus testified to it. From Adam to the prophet Zechariah, people have killed prophets, Israelites, own people. Yet every prophet had a message to give. Two kinds of messages. One is a message of correction that they offered, trying to bring the people of Israel back to the devotion of God, worship of God, like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, many prophets. So all the prophets had this one function, that is to bring the people of Israel back to the faith of Yahweh. The other function was to give them hope, give the people of Israel something to look forward to. And that is what Zechariah too did. The people of Israel looked forward to the coming of the Messiah. The people of Israel looked forward to the coming of the Messiah precisely inspired by the teaching and the preaching of the prophets. Jesus today, he says, "Come to me, all of you who are heavy laden and overburdened. I will give you rest. Learn from me, because my yoke is easy and my burden light." And we know how light the yoke of Jesus was. He bore the cross up to death. Yet he had a hope to give to us. The whole function of Jesus was to bring the people of Israel to the true devotion that is due to the Father. And Jesus died for that cause. So, yet Jesus bore that cross in his heart all through, as it was told by Simeon at the birth of Jesus, when Mary and Joseph presented the baby child to the temple. Yes, this child is going to be a sign of contradiction. He's going to be opposed. Throughout his life, throughout his ministry, he was consistently being opposed. He was always bearing that cross deep within his soul, cross of rejection. And then that cross was finalized on Calvary. So to Mary, the innocent one, she bore a sword in her soul all through. Who among us, my dear brothers and sisters, do not have a burning ember in our heart, a burning coal which we bear silently, humbly, quietly? And this fire that is within us is not caused primarily by our own faults. No. This fire of which I am talking is something that has been given as part of your vocation. Vocation as a parent, vocation as a teacher, vocation as a counselor, vocation as a housewife. So precisely because of the vocation that is given to you, this ember which is placed within you, this burning coal, but instead of burning you up, eating you up, it provides warmth for you. You draw energy from that pain, that isolation, that fear. The other day someone told me, "I'm very successful in my work, in my business, and my work is to do with people, counseling, directing people to things which are good, giving orientation. Yet, deep within me, there are certain genuine, legitimate joys I am deprived of. Deep within me, I am suffering, a suffering which no one knows." Jesus and the prophets and all those who turned out to be beacons of life and light to others, they're not melancholic people. They're joyful people. St. Dominic suffered throughout his life, suffering due to his vocation. Many saints, all the martyrs, they went to their death rejoicing, singing. They never complained because of their pain, isolation, fear, rejection, because that flame which was given to them was a gift of God. Their suffering was a gift of God. They accepted it as such. And they knew that because of that pain, which is given as a gift, as part of their vocation, they're able to lead many more to God, like the prophets, like the woman I spoke about in the beginning, Florence Martus. Throughout her life, she nursed, or she allowed, or forcefully perhaps, she had to bear it, that pain of rejection by her beloved. She could have, or she should have, rightfully lived a happy married life, had children, but she was some way or the other, for some reason or the other, deprived of that joy. Yet, she turned that sorrow into a source of energy and source of hope to others. And that is what Jesus did, the prophets did. And that is what he is asking each one of us. Each one of us who is secretly, quietly, humbly, bearing a pain deep within us, which perhaps no one knows. Does it give energy to us? Give us a reason to live for? If it does, it is because you are energizing somebody else. You're showing the beacon of life to somebody else. Let that flame burn quietly, and we shall perhaps die with that flame.